Welcome to Practicing Life podcast. I'm your host, Ashley Pitzer. Today, let's talk about that famous line, "There is no place like home," from Wizard of Oz. Definitely a classic, but I want to relate this to your brain and habits. As a certified NGH hypnotist, I'm also certified in another type of hypnotism. Your brain, how it functions, what it's capable of is so powerful to me. And from my heart, I want you to understand how much power you have. Because one of my things in life, one of the things that I value most is freedom. I value freedom. I value love, and I value teaching others from my life lesson, which is what Practicing Life podcast is really about. It is taking the life lessons we have, sharing it with other people to empower other people, to empower you. And that's what I'm here doing. Your habits are your life. When you look around at everything in your life, majority of what happens to you is out of habit. And that habit starts with one single choice. And that choice all of a sudden becomes a neural pathway. It is like if you had an unmarked forest and you wanted to walk through it, you would pick a path, you would make a choice, and you would start walking on that path. And day one, it looks like nothing. You're chopping the woods out of the way, you're breaking branches, you're doing all of these things. But if you continue to go down that same path every single time, it becomes a well-beaten path that is easy to walk on and effortless. And this is how your brain works. This is how habits are ultimately created. It starts with one choice. You do this work to clear out and make a path, and then it becomes like a highway, something that you can just shoot down super fast. And your brain absolutely loves to be efficient. It loves to keep you safe. Your brain loves you, and your brain is working for you. So there's no place like home. How does this relate to habits? Well, think about home. What do you feel when you are at home? And I'm not necessarily meaning a home as in this is the place where I lived in with my parents. Home in the sense of this is where you belong. When you have a home like that, you feel safe. You feel comfortable. You feel at ease. You're not on judgment. You're not in turmoil. Your home is a place of safety. It's a place of refuge. It's a place where you get to express yourself to your fullest ability and not have to worry about anything and know that you're accepted. That is home. And habits are like a home to your mental brain, to the mental space in your brain. And when you create a home in your mental space, your brain, like that highway, is going to shoot you to that home as fast as possible because your brain is efficient. And so your brain is working for you and it's saying, oh, you've established a home in this way of being. And so I'm going to continue to route you to this home. Even if you start to travel away from it, even if you start to make a new path, even if you start to build something new and something different, I'm going to carry you back to your home where it is familiar, where it is safe, where it is known, where it is predictable. So there's no place like home to your brain with habits. All right. And so one of the things that you need to understand, I want you to understand, I implore you to understand, is that what you create in life ultimately comes from your feelings, because your feelings, even though you may not be able to physically see your feelings or hear your feelings, they create a vibrancy, they create a frequency, they are a vibration. And they penetrate outside of your body into the world. So empaths, you know what I'm talking about because you know what it's like to walk into somebody and feel their energy and know that they're happy or they're mad or they're sad, because you can feel it, because it vibrates outside of that person and it rubs against your aura, and because you are sensitive and you are aware to that. Not everybody is an empath, but maybe you've experienced it where you've walked into a home or a business and you've gotten that gut reaction of, ooh, this doesn't feel safe. That is the same feeling. You're picking up on the vibration and the frequency of that location. I mean, why do we like during the Halloween time to go to like haunted houses? Because we want that eerie feeling. We pick up on the vibrations that are still resident. And so it's like a fascination, right? Like your feelings are ultimately what manifest. And so this episode, we're going to get into a lot of nitty-gritty things, but I'm going to keep this as simple as I can for you, because I want you to walk away understanding more about yourself and understanding more about your brain, and giving you the tools necessary to start making changes in your life from an empowered place. So, bottom line, takeaway point is anything that you want to create in your life, you have to take responsibility over your habits and know that whatever you are creating, it boils down to the choices that you're making, the habits that you have, and the feelings that you're feeling. All of your habits, every single one of them, come from your unconscious or subconscious, however you like to view this word, of your brain. So think about unconscious. By definition, that means that it is not in the forefront analytical part of your brain. Unconscious means that you are unaware of what is happening. This is why working with a life coach is super beneficial, because you can have blind spots, and those blind spots are your unconscious thoughts that you're thinking over and over, that habit. And so they can help you see those when you're not able to see them yourself. Awareness is seriously like a superpower. I write fantasy novels, and awareness would be up there for superpowers. Some people want to fly, and it's like in this world, in this 3D world, your superpower, if you could have one, awareness would be it, because you can't make changes without the awareness. All right. So everything that you have in your life boils down to those habits, and habits become unconscious. They are in your subconscious part of your brain, the back part of your brain that doesn't think, it just does. So you might be an analytical thinker, and you might have extra ability to focus, and you might have laser focus, and it doesn't matter, because your subconscious, what is in the back of your mind that is running and never sleeps, is what is in control and what has power. I don't remember the exact numbers, but we're going to make this really simple math. If you think about your analytical brain, your ability to choose in the moment, the ability to be focused and be present, out of the total capacity of your brain, that is like 5% of your brain. The 95% of your brain that is operating everything in your life, including those choices that you think you're making in the present, is coming from your subconscious. So 95% of your behavior, 95% of your choices, 95% of the way that you show up in the world all comes from your subconscious. Your willpower, that makes up the 5% of your brain. Your willpower comes from your conscious. By definition, conscious means that you're aware of it. This is why so many people fail at making changes in their life, because there's no place like home. And you can use your willpower to go, bust down some trees and make a new path. You can use your willpower to start building a new home. But your emotions, your habits, your unconscious brain is going to pull you back to what is safe, what is known, what is familiar, what feels good, what is efficient. And that is the subconscious programming running in the back of your brain. So I'm going to ask you, what is more powerful? Subconscious or your conscious? You have been taught to do everything from your conscious brain. You have been taught to be analytical, to think, to consider your consequences. That's 5% of your brain. Meanwhile, you're stuck and you keep repeating the same patterns, and no matter what you do, the same consequences keep happening. That's your unconscious. And you can have as much belief and as much faith as you want to have, because that's, again, willpower and your consciousness. But what is going to show up in your life is going to be your unconscious, the habits that are so known to you and so familiar and so home that it's just going to keep showing up. So it doesn't matter if you're doing something right now that is undesired to your conscious brain, to your analytical brain. It doesn't matter if it is undesired, unwanted, unintentional. What matters is the programming going on in your subconscious that is really has the ultimate control of your life. So unless you can keep your analytical brain, your consciousness 100% focused on the outcome you want 24/7, and your willpower gets tired and it needs to rest. So just by definition, that isn't even possible. That's the only way you're going to really get what your conscious mind and your analytical mind wants. Now, there are people out there that are manifesting like crazy. That goes back to their subconscious ultimately, because they have a home in their brain that says that they are capable. This is possible. They don't have to trick their brain into anything. They don't have to convince their brain of anything, because the programming is there and it already exists and they can just fly with it. This is why comparison is crap. And it really doesn't work, because everybody is operating off of their own conditioning, their own backstories from when they were a baby until they were like 8 years old. And now suddenly their analytical brain started kicking in and started making choices from them. Everything goes back to that period of time when you are purely subconscious. So it's not hopeless. You are absolutely capable of building a new home in your brain. It just takes time. Most things take time. There are some things that can emotionally impact you so severely, whether that's positive or negative or however you want to view it, because I don't like to distinguish between right and wrong necessarily. I just like you to know that when your emotions are so strong that it can pop up a house overnight in your brain. Absolutely. That is absolutely possible, and it does happen. But remember, your subconscious, the way you manifest is through your emotions. So your emotions have to be very strong in order to pop up a house in your mental brain overnight. And it does happen. Like let's say you gonna use my mom. Mom, if you're listening, sorry. But, my mom has a snowbird, so one state and then another state during the winter. And in both states, her home was damaged. And she lives in a place that has hurricanes. And so for her car was totaled by a hurricane. And so she's making a plan right now that she is not leaving her home or her car in the hurricane season like she did last time. She's transporting it to a different place. Why? Because she had such an emotional impact from that one life lesson that now she has created a new habit, and she will most likely never leave her car unprotected in a hurricane again, because that lesson was so severe. It emotionally impacted her. And this is the way the brain works. It doesn't matter what it is that you're facing. When you face something that is maybe something very, very strong, like love and shame are two super strong emotions. So when you have either of those super strong emotions come up for you, automatically that pops up a mental home in your brain. And all of a sudden that habit is there, like a highway was blazed overnight. Like if you think about a tornado and a tornado whips through the town, you can sometimes see that destructive pathway, right? That's how really, really strong emotions work. Then you have that home and you find yourself no matter what going to. So these are just things for you to consider that emotions create. And this is one of the reasons why you will hear some people talk about the fact that mantras, affirmations don't work. They do work, but it takes a long time and a lot of effort to do it, especially if you're not tying emotion with it. I mean, you have to say it bazillion times. I'm not even going to say a million. You have to say it so many times because your brain, not only does it manifest from emotions, but it manifests from repetition. So if you keep presenting to your brain over and over and over until it becomes programmed that, okay, this is important to, this being and this soul. Like when you show your brain that this is important through repetition over and over and over, as my mentor Jim Fortin says, repetition is the mother of all learning. Like this is how you learn, is repetition. You can program it in, but it's never going to be as powerful as it is if you accompany it with emotions and feel the feeling that you want to be feeling. Like, so you can say a mantra, like, whatever it may be, like, a lot of people want money. So like you can say that, I have an abundance of money. But as you're saying those words, your body is feeling, oh shit, oh shit, oh shit, that isn't true. I don't like this. That's not true. The emotions are more powerful than your thoughts are. And what is going to register the universe, what reflects you in the outside world, speaks the language of emotions, of vibrations and frequency. The universe is energy. Your emotions create energy. So your thoughts are not local. They spread out from you, but they are carried from the energy of your emotions. So every cell in your body responds to your thoughts. So I don't want you to dismiss your thoughts. Your thoughts are important. What your thoughts do, though, just basic psychology and the philosophy of how your brain works, your thoughts create that emotion, and that emotion creates the vibration, and that vibration creates the frequency, and the frequency is what the universe reads because it's one language to another. It is speaking the same language then, and that frequency understands each other and then goes out and creates what you are ultimately feeling. But your feelings come from your thoughts. So your thoughts are important, but your feelings are what is projecting ultimately to the universe and speaking to the universe. It is communicating to the universe. The universe doesn't understand your words. It understands your energy. But when you talk about your body within your container where your soul is housed, every thought you have creates an emotion. And that emotion could be a neutral emotion. It doesn't have to be so strong and so vibrant. It can be a neutral, it can be a mild emotion, but every thought is still creating something within you. And your central nervous system responds to every single thought. Every neuron, there are a billion neurons in your body. Every single neuron is responding. That's the way your central nervous system works. This is science. This isn't, la la makeup, woo woo. I love woo woo stuff. Okay. But this is just science. This is how your body works. Your central nervous responds. You have a thought and your body responds. This is why, people like, let's say, for instance, people who have MS, they may have to go in at a point later on in their journey with MS and have a nerve cut off, fried, disabled, so that that central nervous system can't read the thought that is sending down to that nerve. Okay? So every single cell in your body is responding to what you are creating with your thoughts. And then every thought you have is creating emotion. And then outside of your body, it is mirroring what is going on inside of your body. Please understand this. Please understand this. I know there's people out there that are, famous and influential people out there that sit there and talk about the fact that, what's going on in the inside of your body, maybe not as important. It's about doing. You can only be the person doing the doing based on who you are on the inside and who your habits are, because you ultimately are what your habits are, because it's the 95% of your body that is just responding automatically without thought, without awareness. So whatever you are focusing on, what is what you are creating. And that is coming from the 5% of your brain. That is coming from your consciousness. So you have the ability through your willpower to make choices to change your habits. You have the ability to move your focus. It's not that your conscious brain isn't important. It is the driver. It is the one who gets to make the choices. It is the one that gets to say enough. And then through repetition, you reprogram your subconscious and you create a new house. And you do those small, powerful steps that I talked about with the previous episode on overcoming overwhelm. Small, consistent steps, repetition, repetition, repetition. And you school your body with those emotions. Repetition is your friend. Awareness is necessary. Heart. Awareness is that part of you that says, oh, I am recreating this habit. Let's stop. Let's use that 5% of our brain that gets to direct and make decisions to stop this right now and not judge it and not make this bad, not do any of that stuff. Because when you start judging and you start beating yourself up, that's a habit too, by the way. We've been taught to do that as a child. You stop that immediately because your brain is going to travel the path of least resistance. Why? Because your brain wants efficiency. It is running a bazillion neurons. It is operating all day long without rest. So it is going to do the most energy efficient way of being as possible. So when you start judging yourself and when you start putting up resistance by berating yourself and putting you in that low energy of self-loathing and self-depreciation, that's resistance. And it's going to go, oop, let's just go back home. Let's go back home where it's safe, where it's familiar, when it's easy, where it's efficient. Awareness to stop a habit, being neutral, and just know that this is just a part of building a home in your brain, metaphorically. All right. So let's just touch on this really, really briefly before we wrap up this episode. When you don't know something, when you identify something in your 3D world that your brain does not know. You can't even remember what it was like as a baby because that's how long ago it is. And now your brain recognizes everything that it has been taught. But if you were to approach something that you have never seen, like a fruit you have never seen, like you may recognize it as a fruit now, so it's just even difficult to give you this type of scenario. But if you were to run across something that you have never been exposed to ever, 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 not even in your childhood, your brain does 4 tasks at that point. It says, do I eat you? Like, are you food? Do I run from you? Are you super dangerous and I should get the hell out of here? Do I mate with you? I mean, is this about reproduction? Or do I fight you? Is this a matter of I can't flee, so I better buck up and fight you? Those are the 4 things that your brain is going to do. But you don't even, the thing is so much is unconscious. Your brain generalizes anything. So even if you have never seen this fruit and you don't even know if it's a fruit or a vegetable, your brain, because of subconscious programming and generalization, it's going to be like, oh, this is a food. Okay. But when we take this into the mental space, your brain is doing the same thing. So when you say something like, I'm going to lose weight, and you haven't lost weight before, your brain is going to go through those 4 tasks and it's going to generalize and it's going to find the path of least resistance. And it is going to find the place that is as close to home as possible because that's what's habit, that's what's known, that's what's familiar. If you, taking the same example, if you have lost weight before and then you've put the weight back on, well, guess what? That's what's known and familiar to your brain. Even if it's only happened one time, that is still more known to your brain than the unknown. And your brain is liking the known and the path of least resistance a lot more than the other one. So this takes a lot of patience, a lot of compassion, and a lot of love. Or you can go see somebody like me, a hypnotist, that is going to start working with the subconscious part of your brain and telling your brain what you want to expect and create in your life. It's up to you. Either way, reprogramming your brain is 100% possible, and it is so powerful to do. I became a hypnotist because I realized how powerful it was. I became a hypnotist, not necessarily so that I could serve the public, but so that I could help myself. So like for instance, I listen to a hypnosis in the morning, at lunch, and at night, reminding myself of serving through my fantasy and to share my creativity and my expression with people. I am making this known and familiar to my brain from a state, an emotional state, whether it is neutral or peaceful or happy. I am creating from the energy that is most conductive to the universe. I am in the energy that the energy of the universe understands and is more willing to go with it because there's no resistance in subconscious reprogramming in the hypnosis. That's the whole point. And I want to say, don't look at hypnosis as woo-woo. This is something that medical scientists have been doing for hundreds of years. This is before anesthesia was available to the world. They would put people in hypnosis, which is just a focused state. And they would perform operations because they had extreme success doing surgery with hypnosis versus the high death rate of those without it. There are people even today who don't like going to the dentist, and they will go into a state of hypnosis so that their teeth can be worked on without experiencing some of the trauma or the negative experiences they've had in the past. Hypnosis isn't just laying down and being relaxed. You're in hypnosis all the time. Every time you watch a movie, every time you read a book, when you have a runner's high, anytime that you just get into this really zoned state, you're in hypnosis. Every single form of hypnosis is self-hypnosis. It is one of the reasons why it is not in the medical I don't want to say in the medical book. It is one of the reasons why it isn't as incorporated into the medical field as it once was, is because it was defined as being self-hypnosis. So it is something that every single person does on their own. It's just you can go to a professional who's going to help you see those blind spots and is going to help you if this isn't something that you're, able to get into the emotional state on your own to achieve together. It's up to you. But I just want you to understand the way your reptilian brain works, the subconscious part of your brain works, and it is about self-preservation. And it's going to take you home. Create that new home in your mental space. And you will start to see the results that you want to see. And it's going to take that awareness of stopping. It's going to take the responsibility of not allowing yourself to get into a berating, judgmental pressure, putting pressure on yourself state. So it is self-hypnosis, no matter what you're doing. It is you're responsible for creating this within your own body. I'm here to help. Much love to you. And let me know how this resonates with you. And I will see you next week.